I'm filming this today because I need your input. I would like to hear people's thoughts on what is learning. I know I have teachers that follow me, former teachers, people that work with children, people that have grandkids, and I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are on what is learning and have those thoughts evolved through the years as homeschooling and things like that have become more popular. Have your thoughts evolved? Mine have. And this morning, my daughter kind of said something, not being mean or anything like that, but it made me start thinking, what is learning? And the reason my thoughts jumped to that was because of so much of what I've been learning just as a viewer of YouTube, just as kind of a voyeur into other people's lives who have taken up homeschooling and done things differently than the norm. My norm growing up was you went to public school. There were one or two people in our whole town that went to private school, and we thought it was the oddest thing in the world because everybody just went through the public school. You went where you lived, you all merged in junior high, you kept on with the merge through high school, you graduated together. Nobody thought about it, doing anything different. Nobody thought about going outside the box. Nobody thought about it. But even if you're not thinking about it, even if you're completely satisfied with the public schools and everything in your area, I still would like to know, what is learning? What is that exactly? Is that meeting metrics that are set that says by this grade, all boys and all girls should know this? By this grade, all boys and all girls should know this. Is that learning, that child could meet those metrics, therefore they succeeded? Some didn't meet the metrics, therefore they're slower. Is that accurate? I don't know. My mind is kind of going today because of what she said. She brought some books in with him this morning, and it was actually a big little workbook that I had bought for my grandkids. I had bought it at Walgreens, but it was a big, thick preschool workbook that I thought was would be really helpful to them to just play with and use at home and everything and learn from. And I think they played in it and everything, but it kind of got mixed up in their moving, and she wasn't sure where it was. Well, she found it, so she brought it in our house this morning, and she brought some markers, and she had bought the boys yesterday some dry erase boards. The older grandson is in school, so he's at school. I'm home a lot with the 4-year-old. His dad works out of our house because they're living on our property right now, and his dad works out of our house, but he has lots of Zoom calls and things like that, and calls he has to make. So we watch the 4-year-old a lot so that his dad can work. And so he's around us a lot. Now, I don't necessarily pull out books and just start teaching or anything. In my mind, he's 4 and he's just absorbing everything like a sponge. And so I just talk to him a lot. I let him walk around with me as I'm doing things. He helps me garden. I'll go into a little more of that in a minute. He's just a great little gardener. And we do all kinds of things together that we both enjoy. What I am deficient on is just actually sitting down with him to make a point every day of doing certain letters, numbers, book work, or whatever. I probably should do more than that. But this morning she made the comment when she brought the books in, and she said, I just don't feel like he's learning enough. And so if you get time today, could you work with him on some of this? And I said, sure. And I will. But then I just started thinking, this is probably one of the smartest little kids I know. He's so observant, so observant. If he hears it, he never forgets it. A lot of kids are like that, especially 3 and 4-year-olds and stuff. When they hear something, they don't forget it. You might forget it, but they don't. They can mimic. He can mimic everything. Exactly. My Mary Pat videos where I had Mary Pat, which was me, but I was playing a character of Mary Pat. The kids love those videos, and he knows every word of it and says it in the exact same way I said it in the videos. He knows it line for line, and if I'm saying it with him and I mess up, he corrects me. He remembers the exact words I used in the video. And so I think of him as this intelligent little smart kid that just never forgets anything, that teaches me things because he remembers things that Mama's forgotten. And he is like a sponge that absorbs knowledge. So I've never really sat back and worried about him not being smart or him being behind other kids. In my mind, he's going to probably be ahead of other kids because of just how smart he is. He's very, very smart. And so it's something that I think it more or less shook me a little bit this morning, not as an insult, like, oh, you're not teaching him. It was more like, but he's so smart. What does it mean that he's not learning? He's learning everything all the time. Everything all the time. Let me give you just a quick example. I don't mean to deviate, but let me give you a quick example. I went outside not too long ago because another one of my sprinkler bases on my sewer system had broke. I have 3 sprinklers that output the sewer output. And after it filters it through my tanks and all, it ends up sprinkling it out onto my grass. Well, I've already had one sprinkler system kind of burst and I had to replace it. And I did a video about replacing it just in case it would help somebody else to understand how to do it. And in it, I had used a jar opener that I had in the house to unscrew the sprinkler head. And then once you unscrew it, you screw the other sprinkler, the new replacement on, and you cover it back up with dirt and you're done. Months later, just months and months later, another one blew a gasket. So I had to get my spare sprinkler head, and go out there and dig a hole, dig up the old sprinkler. And all of a sudden I went, oh shoot, I forgot. And he said, I'll get it. And he ran in the house, and I went behind him thinking, surely he's not getting that jar opener. And he ran to the drawer, got the jar opener, and said, here, Mama, you use the blue one. I have 3 of them, and one's small, one's medium, one's large, like the 3 bears, and I used the medium one, and it was the blue one. And he said, here, Mama, you used the blue one, didn't you? And I said, how did you know that? And he said, in your video. We never talked about it. He had just watched my sewer video, which I think was extremely boring. It took me over a period of 3 or 4 days to fix this I had other issues too. So I was showing all these other issues I had, and it involved a bunch of store trips and all. And it was probably a horrendous video to sit through if you're not into sewer stuff. It was boring. He watched it. And he remembered not only that I had needed that jar opener to unscrew the sewer head, but that I had used the blue middle-sized one. And he went and got it for me months later when I needed it again. That's what I'm talking about. Just the ability to absorb and to not forget things. That to me is wild. And lots of kids are like that. And so when it was like he's not learning, I understand what she means. She means he needs to be able to just sit there and recite the ABCs and so forth and so on. And I get that. My thing is, I think he already knows a lot of that. But he, as smart as he is one of these kids that doesn't want to tell you. Doesn't want to show everybody. He doesn't want to be called out in front of everybody to recite. So he will shut down and tell you he doesn't know anything. And my older son was the same way. My older son was very smart. He was doing things and memorizing things. He memorized all the helmets in the NFL and could say them at like 2.5 and 3 years old. He could tell you exactly what team it was. He could remember anything. He took his little 4-year-old end of the year exam at preschool, and I wasn't the least bit worried about it. I went to pick him up that day thinking he had just probably aced it because he knew everything on all that. And when I got there, she was laughing and she handed me the paper. And she had written on there in red ink, in quotations, I don't know anything, Ricky says. And he refused to answer any questions. He got a 0 out of 100. He just didn't want to tell anybody. My son knew everything. He didn't want to tell anybody. He did not want to talk to his teachers that day about what he knew. And this one is a lot like that. And so I'll ask him sometimes, you want to go color? Mama will go color with you. We'll go color some books and look at ABCs and do numbers. No. He'll go out there and pick with me in the garden, though, and talk his head off the whole time. So I just kind of let him be. But I thought to myself, what is learning? And so today I said, let me just see what we do during the day and see whether he's learning anything. So I didn't create a bunch of stuff for us to do today. If he asked a question, I thought, let's just, let me understand in my mind that when I'm answering his question, I'm teaching him, even though he's not really realizing it and I'm not thinking about it a whole lot. So it started off today where he started telling me where his dad was. His dad flew off this morning for a business trip. He'll be back tomorrow. And he said he knows where his dad went. He said his dad went to Colorado. And I said, do you really know where Colorado is? No. I said, well, come, let me show you. And I had some maps. I had maps in my closet that I just hadn't got out in a long time. So I got them out. And this is what we talked about. And I think just little things like this over time is learning. Am I on track to have him ready for all the metrics in a year from now when he starts kindergarten? I don't know. I think we will be by then, because I think it's gonna happen for him really, really quick, that he'll just be able to do things. His older brother did that. Just taught himself to read practically. None of us remember really teaching him to read, the older brother. He just started doing it. And we're just sitting back going, cool. Nobody really had to knock themselves out teaching him. But he was the same way. He was an absorber of all kind of information, very intuitive, very much could catch on quick. And this one's the same way. So in my mind, I'm just trying to enjoy the outdoors with him, enjoy having him. I have things I have to do. I really can't babysit all day because I'm already so short of time because of the things I have to do for my husband. So I need what time I have to be used to get things done. So the best thing I can do is just kind of take him with me as I do things. But today we did a few things and I thought, let me just see what we do during a day. Is that learning? Is that helpful? Let's just look and see. Over here. Unfold that part right there. Okay. This is where we are, right here. Okay. Colorado is right here.
And where's America?
This is the United States of America right here. This is all the states that are hooked together. And then down here it shows us Alaska, which is way up there, but you can't see it on the map. And then it shows us Hawaii, which is out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We're here in Louisiana. So your daddy flew to Colorado. I'm not sure where he flew into. Probably Denver.
And so this is where we are, Louisiana.
Yeah, so
and
he flew.
Colorado.
Yeah, so he flew over Texas probably. He flew over Oklahoma. And he flew into Denver. He might have flew over Kansas a little bit too.
And so he was flying to Oklahoma, and he flew to Colorado.
Flew to Colorado, yeah. He definitely flew over Texas and Oklahoma, definitely. Yeah. But he might have flew over New Mexico. He might have flew over Kansas.
And so this is where we are, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so my mom works in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, but Baton Rouge is right here. That's where your mama works.
Right here.
Yeah, Baton Rouge is right there. I got a pole saw a few days ago because I've got overgrown limbs all around my property, and the only way to clean it up is to get something to help me to do it. And he's been asking me, when are we going to use the pole saw? When are we going to use the pole saw? And so I thought, well, today I'll let him help me put oil in it, and then we're going to go ahead and start using it. I'm not going to do a whole lot, but I just wanted to do it a little bit just to show him how it works. All right, we got our funnel. I'm going to pour it in the funnel. This makes it go in there easier. So hopefully it doesn't spill all over everything. Oh.
What? Huh? What?
Got a little too much. Yeah, it's spilling anyway. It's dribbling out. That's okay. It didn't spill everywhere, it just spilled a little bit. Okay, put this cap back on there.
How do you open this part? How
Yeah,
you
we
open
gotta take that cover off. Okay. This is called bar oil, and it's what we put in chainsaws and stuff like that.
And a pole saw.
Yeah, pole saws and chainsaws. We put bar oil, they call it. But you have to be like Momo's lawnmower. It has to be oiled. The cars have to have oil in them. You can't really run anything if it doesn't have oil. So that's what Momo's doing before she ever starts to use this, because she doesn't want to break it when she hasn't even used it yet, huh? I didn't really know what I was doing yet, but he was safely out of the way, and I thought I would cut down just a couple little small limbs just to kind of show him what was going on with this pole saw. Boys are so interested in tools and stuff like this. I think they need to know at the proper time how to work them and use them. And I think it's good for him to see his Momo out there doing all this kind of stuff by herself. Kind of self-sufficiency. I'm teaching him, I hope. But he enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. And I'm going to really get busy on making our property look a lot better.
There we go.
We did it. We did it. I had a little talk with him about how to hopefully we can work smarter, not harder, and we can use this golf cart to help us take all these limbs to the burn pile. And so that's something that I struggle with, because sometimes I tend to make things hard for myself, and I need to really learn more how to work smarter and not harder. But I'm hoping that if he hears that at an early age from me, he'll start really thinking about things and how to make things easier on himself by working smarter and not harder. Hopefully that's a lesson he'll take from me and learn throughout his life. Every day that we keep our grandson, we usually just have to keep him in the morning. Sometimes it's not even till after lunch, and that's all. But while we have him in the mornings, a lot of times he and I will take the golf cart and we'll ride around. We ride around the whole perimeter of the yard, a little bit on the neighbor's property. We look at everything. We keep up with what's growing in the garden or what's dying, what's going to seed. We just talk about all kinds of stuff. We have little fun things we do around certain branches and bushes where he likes to just grab them and stuff. It's just fun, but he talks and talks and talks, and we enjoy it. Well, this morning while we were doing it, I kept seeing tractors go by. Some of them were on the shoulder of the road. Some of them were being pulled on trailers out on the highway. I saw a big load of hay go by, and all of a sudden I realized what was going on. We are in a dry spell a little bit. It rained Friday, the day of the explosion. We had some showers, but Saturday and Sunday it didn't rain. Then all of a sudden yesterday it came on our weather notifications that we weren't going to have rain for the next few days. So it hit me. That's all the farmers are out now cutting hay. They're realizing that they're going to have a little stretch with no rain, so they're cutting hay. So I thought I would use that opportunity to tell him about it, and to tell him while those tractors were going by and while the trucks loaded with hay were going by. And I told him, I said, they have to cut their hay when it's dry. Their hay has to be dry when they cut it. Then it has to lay there a day or so. And then before they bale it, it has to be completely dry. I said it can't have rained or anything because they can't bale it while it rains. And I was explaining to him how you don't want to feed horses or cows or anything that is wet and that might have molded. So you want that hay to be dry. And I was also telling him something I learned a while back, and that's that hay has to be dry completely before you bale it and put it in a barn. Because if the hay is kind of wet on the inside of the bale and it starts evaporating, that can actually generate heat, which can cause your hay to catch on fire. And so if this evaporation process starts too quickly and all, you could burn down your whole hay barn with your hay in it if you put it up too wet. It seems counterintuitive. It seems like putting up wet hay might just mean, well, it might mold, but it definitely wouldn't be burning. But actually the opposite is true. That evaporation process can actually cause the hay to heat up and catch on fire. But what I decided to do was I said, you know, we have so many vehicles going by today. Let's sit out here in the golf cart and let's see what goes by. And then I'll just kind of tell him what these equipment pieces are for that are being hauled, what kind of truck that is. And we had the best time just sitting out here. There goes a guy carrying a load of something. It looks like some kind of culverts. Culverts are what you put under your driveway so that you can drive over them and you don't have to drive down in the mud and stuff. But the water can flow under your driveway without making ponds on either side of it. So I think that man was hauling some type of piping culverts or something. Here comes a big old truck. Trucks like that. That one works for a newspaper company. Guess what? That guy is bringing the Baton Rouge newspaper to grocery stores down there. That's what that guy's doing. That's a newspaper truck. You know how Papa reads newspapers sometimes?
Yeah.
That's a newspaper truck bringing the newspapers.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes another truck.
Here, that's a garbage truck.
Looks like it.
Yeah, it is. Look like.
Yeah.
Look.
Coming to get our garbage in a little bit. There goes our garbage guys.
Huh?
I said, there goes our garbage guys. They're going to pick up on that side of the road.
And this side.
And then when they get down to the end of the road, they'll turn around and they'll come back and they'll get our garbage. Probably be about 30 or 45 minutes.
And her getting this Lisa's trash.
Yeah, they're getting our neighbor's trash right now.
And our neighbors.
Yeah, they'll come back and get ours in a little bit. Okay, here comes something else. Well, that's our garbage truck. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, okay, here comes a piece of equipment.
Yeah, it's not a garbage.
All right, here comes a truck. It's got a little excavator on it. And
Yeah.
looks like he had some kind of a brush hog. Uh-oh. Woo!
That's a bit. Oh, here comes another.
What was on that truck?
Wood.
Wood, yeah, trees. They cut down trees and they cut all the leaves and limbs off of it. And then they haul the logs to factories and stuff.
There's two.
But that truck before that, it had an excavator on it. They going to move some dirt or do something like that with that excavator. That guy's hauling a load of dirt or something. He's got it covered up. I can't see it. They haul dirt and rocks and tar and all kind of stuff. They haul that all over the place every day for people to use for different things, like to build roads and stuff like that. What is this guy hauling? Hauling a big old container. That you store stuff and things like that. He's probably hauling it to a job site.
Oh.
Here comes a cattle truck, but I don't know if he's got anything in it.
No.
Nope. You knew what that was, didn't you?
What?
That hauls cows. You can haul horses in there,
And it can hold donkeys.
donkeys, pigs. But he didn't have anything, which means he either just dropped something off and it's empty, or he's on his way to go get something.
And maybe
Because you don't just hook them up to your truck for no reason. You're either on your way to go get something, or you just dropped it off and you're heading back home or whatever.
So when you have a horse cage in it, you load up the cows.
If you're loading horses, you probably don't put cows in it, I think. I would think you would just want to load one or the other. Huh. That looked more like something cows would be hauled in for the most part.
Where's the farm?
Horses usually have a little bit more covering around them. My garden is a nothing burger right now, the main garden. I'm slowly weeding rows because I want to put some green peas in along these fence lines where I have the chicken wire. Oh, but it's a slow process because we're still having 100-degree weather and there's just one Laney. And I can't take this heat right now, so I really just only come out here late in the evening, and it's been a slow process. I've got the other row along this fence line kind of ready to go. I've raked it towards the fence line and everything. It's kind of ready. But I've still got a long way to go. But the 4-year-old is become my gardener. He knows everything about this garden. He's come out here with me to pick the whole season long. He knows what was everywhere. He knows that was lima beans. He knows that was the Alabama butter beans. He just knows everything. When we would be out here picking all the tomatoes that were along this first row and the hog's brain that were on that row, he knew everything. I taught him, I had to teach him. He didn't just know it from birth, but he knew it because I taught him how to pick things and what to look for. And when we pick tomatoes, we don't pick them when they're green. We pick them when they start blushing the red underneath at the bottom. And he just knew, and he got to where I could just say, you go do tomatoes and I'll go do this. And he would come put things in my basket that were perfectly picked. He just knows. He's 4, but he retains everything. And I feel there's just value in all this knowledge, not just so that he can grow up to be a good gardener, but there's got to be a value in learning to be observant, learning to follow the instructions that Momo told you to do, and then going to look at that fruit and observing what it looks like, and then picking it the way Momo told you to, and then getting praise because you did a great job. Right now we're watching all this okra. We're watching it. And we're waiting for it to turn into little seed pods like that one is. And he knows. He's watching them every day. I filmed a little bit of that a while ago. And it's just so fun being out here with him and just talking about all this kind of stuff every day. And I just feel like it's going to give him knowledge that he's going to have the rest of his life. When Momo's long gone, he's still going to know how to sit here and watch okra and let it go to seed. And he's going to know that once you do that, you don't ever have to buy okra seeds again. He's going to know how to do his own gardens one day. And I hope while he's doing it, he thinks of me.
That one got beans in it.
It's actually called seeds.
She got seeds.
Yeah.
I see red okra.
Yeah, I'm going to let the red okra go to seed. That pod right there is about ready, huh? Still got a little green on it. We'll get it in a day or two.
What?
Uh-oh. Did you fall? Yeah, that red okra that's way down there, we'll let it go to seed. We got a whole bunch of pods going to seed, don't we, bud? Whole bunch of pods. You asked me where Arkansas was. Okay, show me where Louisiana is. Do you remember? That's Louisiana. Okay, the state right on top of it, that's sitting on top of it. It's orange. Point to it. Nope. The state that's right on top of Louisiana. Right on top. That state, it's orange. That's Arkansas. That's where you're going on your trip. So you're going on the state that's right on top of Louisiana. And that means it's north. See this N on there?
Yeah.
That N means anything that's facing up like that N is north of you. So you're going north to Arkansas, and then you're going to North Arkansas. You know that?
We are in Louisiana right now.
We're in Louisiana right now. And where are you going to go on your trip? Where are you going on your trip? Where's right on top of Louisiana? There, Arkansas. That's where you're going. That's where you're going. While we were looking at cars on the road, we found these little abandoned locust carcasses. You know how they just leave their skins everywhere. And I told him, I said, I can't really remember the whole story about them, but I said, while you're taking a nap, Mama will look it up. So I did, and here's what I found. He ate lunch, and he's taking a nap, but I had said I was going to look up why did locusts lose their shells. That's just something I have forgotten what I learned about. I'm just going to read this AI overview that came up. It pretty much explains it without me having to dig too deep in this. It says locusts, which are short-horned grasshoppers, and other insects like cicadas shed their outer shells. These outer shells are called exoskeletons. They shed them through a process called molting, and it's to allow for growth, as their rigid exoskeleton prevents them from expanding. They shed their old, hard skin 5 times during their growth. Now that I didn't know. I thought it happened once and it was a one and done. Apparently not. It happens 5 times. They emerge as larger versions of themselves, and the final molt allows them to develop their adult wings and become capable of flight. I don't know why I was thinking there was some type of worm or butterfly involved or something with this, but really it's not. It's just the locust or the cicada or whatever outgrows their shell. So this is their little exoskeleton. I've got a lot to tell him today when he wakes up. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video, but I guess what I wanted to say is I messed up. I messed up a long time ago, and I watched a video a year and a half or 2 years ago on Lisa's channel on Simple Farmhouse Life, and it was called Raising Virtuous and Courageous Boys or something like that, being a boy mom. And the lady that did the video did a wonderful job. She raised kids from they're adults now, and she raised them all the way through that, doing homeschool, and she just has so much knowledge of what works and what doesn't. And the main thing she came out of it all understanding is that boys are different from girls, and learning patterns are different for kids, and that most of their learning comes from being in their environment and playing and helping their parents do things and having enough free time to be creative, and that it sparks in them this love of learning. And her video impacted me so much that I really still think about it a lot. I've recommended it to people that I know, and I'm going to put it in the link if it'll let me link that video down there. And I just encourage everybody, whether you have children or not, to watch it, because what it did for me is it opened up a whole way of thought for me that I had never really thought about before. And that is to, like, especially boys. I'm dealing with boys, so I'm focusing on boys. But to let them have enough time and space to play, to imagine, and to be in imaginary spaces in their head doing things, to bang on stuff, to just destroy stuff outside, you know, and rebuild it. It's like it's in their DNA, and let them do that. And sometimes when we capture them too quick into these classrooms and we insist that they sit in desks for hours, it just quashes a lot of that. So while some kids can kind of jump out of the gate performing really early and doing really good things, sometimes after a while even they self-combust, because they need that freedom to be creative, that freedom to play and have fun. And I guess with me, maybe I've gotten a little lazy on the basics, because yes, kids need the basics. They need to know how to sing their ABCs at a certain point. They certainly need to start doing the simple math and stuff. So I need to work on that end of what I'm imparting to my grandkids. On the other hand, I've gotten a lot better at just being. We listen to birds. They figured out how to identify all kinds of birds in my yard from that bird app that I have. And if we hear a new one, we'll look it up, see what it is. And then after we hear it 3 or 4 times, the kids can identify birds. And to me, that's like mile markers. I love it when they walk outside and they say, oh, that's a bobwhite. Oh, that's a blue jay. They know things like that. Is that something testable at school right now? No. But it makes me happy to work on things like that with them. And maybe it's because I'm a grandma. You know, I'm the grandma now. My 3 are raised. They're done. We lost our oldest son, but I mean, my other 2 are doing their thing now. One's married with kids, the other just bought a home. They're doing their thing. So maybe this is the grandma side of me that's just wanting to stop and smell the roses with the grandkids and just be outside with them. Build them backstops like I did the other day. I built a backstop that they've enjoyed all summer. Just things like that to integrate myself into that. But I feel like the whole time they're learning. And maybe that's not the perfect way to do it. Maybe I need to get a little more engaged in the actual learning aspect of it, as far as the basics that they will need when they start kindergarten, and on and on. Maybe you just need to scrap that and let them play like crazy. That probably only works like if you are going to homeschool and stuff, because you have the freedom then to not have these certain dates they have to know everything and get tested on. You can be a little more free with it at that point. You can work your curriculum around your family and your kids. So maybe that will only work for homeschoolers. I don't know. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong about a lot of this. What is learning? I didn't major in education. I'm just a mother and a grandmother. But I feel like we're turning out pretty good kids, and I'm enjoying the heck out of them. But what do you think? What is learning? And how do you do it with your children and your grandchildren? How do you impart things to them that you feel like are going to make them succeed in life? Give me your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear it, because at this point in time, I would really, really like some input on what other people are doing and what you think. This is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.